Hey friends. Okay, here's the deal. Um, Still physically kind of rocky. I think it's just a case of, oh, I forget what they call it, but detoxing. Uh, and so uh, the body isn't doing really great, but that's not a huge deal. And I'm doing fine inside. uh, I thought maybe I would sit down and write another journal, but my gosh, I still have plenty that are ready to record. So it seems like this one I'm getting ready to share with you, I just glanced over it. I wrote it in a similar state of just having almost no energy, so it seems really appropriate to share it here now. This is from June 2nd, and the Mayan day was 11 night. And so, uh, this is odd, or it will be seen to be, once all these new written journals are recorded and uploaded, which will be, I don't know when. Been self-observing, of course. Was watching self pushing self. Well, I guess that would be mind pushing self to get something recorded. It didn't feel good, so I was watching that, looking to see what was under there. What was that about? It didn't take much checking to know we're in a high-speed solar wind right now. Earth has been buffeted by one such wave after another, amounting to about 5 days of different solar windstorms, if we could call them that. Who knows? Maybe that's how Source comes down and changes things. So anyway, the body is feeling kind of slow, not wanting to get up or do much. As we all know, there are always things that could be seen as needing to be done. Well, I prefer not to see them that way anymore. Instead, in my world, they have become options. They have become potentials for ways I could invest my attention. So, since going slow seemed to be the thing, I laid back and watched a bunch of Abraham clips I'd loaded up yesterday. It was fun. I find I agree with them pretty much wholeheartedly. I just stay away from the ones with titles about rockets of desire and such. My gosh, they've got so much valuable info out there. There's enough to please anyone, even me. On further self-observing, I find it very reasonable to just let the body not do anything, if that's what it wants. Makes me wonder why I was letting mind push me into feeling so uncomfortable while doing nothing before. This thing about how, no, this thing about how loving the self really changes your life, well, I find that to be the case. You're just much nicer to you. You take more time to understand the self, the feelings that come up, or the non-feelings in this case, and you're gentle with the whole thing. I notice how I allow a minimum of mind pushing to go on before I tune into it these days. I highly recommend you loving you. It's awesome. There. Just about wore myself out putting the exclamation point on the end of that last sentence. Oh, did I tell you the body is in low energy mode? I guess I did. Anyway, it's not the laying down, not moving at all thing right now. Just being really slow and low energy. Furthermore, though I've checked into it a bit and can say I'm aware of a few things contributing to it, All of that doesn't really matter. Not in the least. It just is what it is, ultimately. Can you see how this is so? So, who knows? Perhaps once I am a further rung up on our spiral of light, I won't even bother to check up to see what might be behind how my now feels. Heck, I don't know. And that doesn't matter either, thankfully. You know, sometimes life gets down to the minimum. Sometimes that's all the energy you have in you to deal with it. And that's fine. I want you all to know that none of this is whining or fussing or complaining or any such thing. And if you see that in it, then, my dear, here's a mirror. Have a look. Everyone, let's get down into heart, okay? I haven't the energy to herd you there this time, so you'll have to do it yourselves. Well, that's rich, isn't it? Am I laughing? You bet. Not very energetically. Well, actually, I don't know how many of you are energetically sensitive to it, but I do a lot more than just write words down on a page in these journals. It would be fun for me if those of you who are aware of this would comment to let me know what it feels like on your end there. I just know how it feels here until you share. And I would have to put the I that's doing that very much in quotes, okay? That would be source. So, I started out saying how odd this journal or journaling situation is. Well, what did I mean by that? Well, to have all of these journals, wait, I'll go count them. That's pretty low energy. There are 7, so this makes 8. Okay, so to have all of those journals having come through in just the last few days, and instead of recording one, to be writing another, that seems pretty odd. But then it's also darned odd to be this low energy and to be writing at all. You'd think laying down would make more sense. I don't know. Maybe this is just mind looking for things to be reasonable to make more sense. Isn't that silly? I think it is. Honestly now, what part or aspect of me would be doing that? 3 guesses. Yeah, of course, it's mind. I guess mind is having a rather hard time with the way things keep refusing to go along the same as every yesterday, never mind a few years ago. Oh well, poor mind. Hey, I can relate. We all can. We all have been deep in mind when it was having a hard time with things. We surely know what that's like. Meanwhile, I love this self-observing thing, which lets me spot mind at work and back away from it. I don't have to bathe in its pain. Hello, my friends. Hint, hint. I get to be me instead. What the heck ever that is. I won't even touch that one. Not enough energy for that anyway. So, well, maybe there's no more to say. Hearing a bit of silence here, I like that. Mind is pouting over there in the corner. You know how misery loves company. Well, don't give in to it. There's really no need. And on top of that, the only reason I can see that you would give in and go join mind in its misery is a lack of love for the self. So, do you get the sense of how self-love, the divine kind, not the 3D variety that mind thinks it understands, can be ever so good for you, loving you, will help bring back a whole lot of previously unnoticed self-abuse to the fore, where you can at least notice it. Until we see something, my friends, what can we do about it? It's like you can't ask the questions you don't know to ask. Catch-22 sort of thing. This is also a good plug for divine vision while I'm at it. I've seen more things being changed just by being seen via heart vision than I can begin to record here. Sometimes it's even shocking, the power of such vision to manifest change. Now, it is not done in a linear mind sort of way, so don't let mind get a hold on this. Be sure to keep it to heart. The kind of change brought about by divine vision is higher dimensional, more a being and an isness thing than anything going from a point A to a point B. So don't look for this stuff to make mind sense, my friends. Heck, if I cared about my YouTube stats, then I'd pay one heck of a lot more attention to making this stuff mind literate. Do you see what's meant there? If YouTube is to be believed, then I lose subs practically every day, or maybe every day. Last month they said overall I gained 8. Meanwhile, I had gotten notices of like 20 or more subbing. So what does that tell you? Go figure, right? If that's true, then I guess they might like something initially, but then after watching the next video, they quit. Something like that. Now, do I care? Is that any of my business? No. Does mine care? Well, yeah. I catch it going and looking at the numbers, so I've got to say mine still retains some interest in that. It still looks at the number of thumbs up too, things like that. It's funny to watch it. But folks, can you separate out from your mind just a bit? That doesn't mean you still don't have them, minds that is. Of course you do. And of course, they will do silly crap, like care about stupid analytics that are likely inaccurate. Okay, so how brilliant is that? Can you say not? It's a good way to waste energy. So why am I sharing this stuff? It seems really silly and pointless, doesn't it? I guess because I still have a functional mind that hasn't quite given up totally. Oh, it well knows that it doesn't get to run things anymore. We've been through that tussle more than a few times, and it knows. Those days are done. And it's mostly gotten over the rabid terror that it felt at first, the depression, the tailspin kind of stuff. Hey, learning you are being deposed, well, that can't feel very good, you know? So it was a very unhappy camper for a good number of months, maybe even more than a year. I'm not so good with the time thing. Anyway, just because it knows it can't permanently run the show the way it once believed it always would, does not render it brain dead, as I'm sure many of you already know. So sure, I get bugged by mind. To think you wouldn't maybe, well, I don't know, mind you, but it may be a bit like those who are expecting awakening to be a thing of perpetual bliss. Ain't happening. Okay, so most of you guys know me pretty well by now. You know my thing is to be as transparent as possible, even at, and maybe especially at risk of being a fool or seeming like one. Hey, in order to illustrate the inner workings of my life, well, You have to see the upside along with the other side. Else you may think it's all rainbows and roses here. Can't have that. Love truth too much. Why not? Oh, I've got a great answer for that one, because then you'd not realize that you're likely awakening or awakened yourself. You'd not realize it is yours right there to claim. If you read enough of the words of the masters, and I'll use Nisargadatta as an example, you'll realize that they too were just regular people. They too had to sit on the pot and they belched. Okay? A big part of what's been done to humanity, now, no resentment now since we all joined in the doing, a great deal of it is making us put all excellence, all hero type stuff outside of the self, to externalize that. They had to make heroes seem bigger than life, and to airbrush the babes to make them impossibly skinny and gorgeous, just to make it totally unreachable to us. Now, you see how this works? We're made to think that we're nothing. We're biological accidents on an unimportant little planet with a mediocre sun. We're nobody special, see? Then to phony up the supposedly special ones till they were so far out of reach as to be impossible of attainment. That would keep us from ever believing in the self, loving the self, and knowing that simply anything is possible. Oh no, we couldn't be allowed to think that way. Well, guess what? If you didn't see it before, then now you're on to it. And especially if you're viewing this from heart, it will have a deep effect on you. It, all by itself, just seeing through this thing, will create alchemical change deep within you. Now, that assumes that you're willing, of course. Free will still runs the show. You're in charge of you. So, like it or not, there's how I see it. I notice the self getting stronger and stronger in her willingness to share how she sees things. I rather like that, even if it is a bit unusual. Oh well, may as well ditch that word, unusual. Yeah, right. So, even if the YouTube numbers are absolutely accurate, and I offend more people than I attract, friends, so what? It just does not matter, even a bit. Once we get this clean feel of just standing up and speaking our truth, well, no stats can take control of that. They get to be what they want to be. We get to be real. We, my friends, get to be the divine one that we are. And there's just no analyzing that. There are no numbers that can be put to what it feels like to be real, to be true and honest to you, and with more and more of everyone. Until one day it's with just everyone. Well, perhaps. There are often family things that still seem pretty sticky for most of us. And you know what? So what to all that as well? Just follow heart, my friends. Do what makes you feel good. Now, that's you, not your mind. So be sure to center down first. Mind loves to wreak havoc with this stuff. Mind is always so sure it's right, that it understands whatever it is that's been said. Well, just see that you don't go that route. you being heart in touch with that beautiful humility that abides there. Besides, when you stay always open, you don't ever play the know-it-all. So that energy at work is a sure sign someone's mind is acting out. Okay, under these circumstances, this is long enough. I'm taking a break. We'll report back in, heck, whenever I do, I guess. I have no idea. I'm just going to continue loving the self through all of this big changing that's going on. I suggest and hope that you will all be doing pretty much the same. And cut yourself loads and loads of slack in these challenging days, my dear friends. Be good to you. Namaste.